Hey guys, so in this video I'm going to talk about some of the biggest mistakes I have seen a lot of players do. Hopefully this might be useful for some of you, and if you found it useful, don't forget to leave a like because that will make this video being recommended to more players who might be quite inexperienced at the game. Before using a hero, I would highly recommend you to read the skills description properly and thoroughly. I have seen a lot of players not maxing the right skill first. Usually, what you really want to max first are the skills that will receive a cooldown reduction every time you level them up, instead of the ones that only receive an increase in damage, but the cooldown remains the same. For example, here you can see that Farsa's first skill will receive a cooldown reduction on her first skill every time you level up this skill. Now, if we compare it to her second skill, we can see that the cooldown remains the same and only the damage changed a tiny bit. Same thing with Layla. You can see that her first skill cooldown remains the same when you level it up, but her second skill will receive a cooldown reduction instead. The answer should be pretty obvious which skill you should max first. But there are some cases that both skills will receive a cooldown reduction or actually remains the same. In those cases, you have to see which one is more useful and will deal more damage when you level it up. Another mistake that I see very frequently, even in Mythic rank, is that many tank and support players buy the roaming mask at the same time. This will only work when both of them are going to the same lane, which is the 1-3-1 formation, but if they're planning to go to a different lane, only one of them should buy the roaming mask until the player who didn't buy it gain a bit of gold, then he can purchase it. Because if you buy at the same time, then you won't be gaining the benefits from the roaming mask and will be stuck at level 1 for a very long time, and also low on gold as well. And if a tank or support don't have items and level, they will just become food for the enemy's carry. It's really important to secure the perimeter when your team is taking the turtle or the lord, especially if you're playing a tank or even a support. You probably already know how many times the lord and the turtle has been stolen by the opposite team because nobody was providing vision and securing the perimeter, and making sure that there were no enemies around the area. So instead of tanking the turtle or the lord, just check all the bushes around the area and provide vision for your team, so they will know if the enemies are trying to contest it. Just let the carry and the other damage dealers attack it. I know that many players only use one build without taking into account the enemy's hero's composition. I have seen tanks who build a lot of physical defensive items when the enemies have like 3 mages in their team, or it could be vice versa. The enemies will have a lot of physical damage dealers and the tank will buy magic resistance items because that's the build they always use. But this not only goes for the tanks, but for example, if you see that the enemy has a very annoying assassin hero that can one-shot and go behind the enemy's backline, such as Ling and Hellcourt, then the marksman should buy something that will allow them to survive their combo, such as Wind of Nature or Queen's Wings. Also, when the enemy has some heroes that have a lot of sustain because of their regeneration, such as Uranus, Esmeralda, Yushon, and so on, it's really important to buy an anti-regeneration item. There are 2 of them in this game, the Necklace of Endurance and Sea Halberd. Just make sure that at least one person from your team has built that item as soon as possible, because without them, those heroes will just dominate the game. I have seen some players buying the jungle item right from the start of the game, and they are not even going straight to the jungle, but to clear the minion wave first. That's a lot of wasted experience. In case you didn't know, after the latest update, now the experience you receive from the minion wave will be a lot less for the first 3 minutes into the game. So if you're planning to go to the minion wave first and then go to the jungle, it's much better to buy the jungle item after clearing the minion wave first, and then just buy it when you're attacking the jungle monster. One of the most common mistakes that you're probably extremely familiar with, especially when you're playing solo or with random, is that a lot of players just want to auto-lock their favorite hero. But if you have the top spot when drafting, it's important to pick priority heroes first, and also avoiding picking heroes that can be easily countered. But if nobody really wants to show any priority heroes, then I guess just pick whatever you want. But at least ask your team first and give them some time before you decide to auto-log your favorite hero. To continue from my last point, it's important to look at the draft composition first, instead of just picking the hero that you want. I know sometimes you encounter many selfish players who just want to pick whatever the heroes they want without caring about the team's composition. But if everyone is selfish in the team, then you will probably have a 0% chance of winning the game. Trust me, I have played a lot of solo games, so even when I show that I want to play like a carry role, but I'm the last pick and everyone just decides to pick their favorite heroes instead of a tank, I usually will just end up playing as a tank, and in the end I will still be able to somewhat carry the game. The team composition is extremely important, and if your team's draft is a complete tragedy, then it's like fighting a battle we lost before the battle even began. When you're using a support or tank, you don't have to follow the jungler when they're just clearing the jungle, because it will just slow down the process of killing the jungle monster and it's not that efficient. Instead, the tank or support should try to create a situation to allow your team to gain some advantage right from the early game. Making this kind of plays often will increase your chance of winning the game by a lot, even when you are playing solo in rank. Stop showing yourself on the map all the time. There is a reason why there are so many bushes in the game. Use them to your advantage and surprise the enemy when they least expect it. Let the damage dealers clear the wave by themselves. The support and tank no need to help the damage dealer clearing the minion wave. The less you show yourself on the map, the higher the chance you will have at successfully ganking your enemies and outplaying them. One of the biggest mistakes I have seen many players doing, even high-ranked players, is that they don't play the objective game. When you manage to kill some of the enemy's heroes, you have to take advantage of that and get some objectives. It could either be taking the Lord, pushing a turret, or stealing the enemy's buff. Don't just go back to farming. One of the reasons you are killing the enemy's heroes in the first place is because you don't want them to be contesting or defending the objective. So once you have killed some of them, try to take advantage of that and get some objectives done. Anyway, that's all for today's video. I hope you found it helpful, and even if you didn't, there might be a chance that there are some players who might benefit from this. So consider leaving a like so this video gets recommended for more people. Thanks, and I will see you until the next time.